An ode to the cone. In our English tongue, we call a cone a flat-based shape in 3 dimensions that tapers, refines, filters, hones to an apex point atop an ascension. The Buddhists use this same sound for a Zen teaching that facilitates growth, a paradox with no answer to be found, but you all today are familiar with both. You rounded the grubby flat of the base, scaled the steeply tapering slopes. You found your rhythm, found your pace, taught yourself how to cope. You put one foot in front of the other, you cut the apron strings of your mother, you found answers where there were none, you found the light when there was no sun. They called your world a new reality and spoke of unprecedented times, and slick suits covered blurred morality, polished prevarication to avoid their crimes. I was not so at a distance, could kiss and reach and grasp and feel, could be body to body with eager insistence, but you learned to exist in the hazy unreal. You were steadfast for those around you. Look at how you found a laugh amongst the dread, how you saw through the fog of the doubt that hounds you, and chose to look up and to dream instead. To those who teach and those who know, to absorbing their sparkle like a sucking sponge, the bridges they build, the seeds they sow, the ignorance they work to expunge. To masks and locked doors and all of your rage, to protests, to survivors and those who were silenced, to black and brown skin, to the hope of the slave, to the debt and the blind eye that was turned to violence. I'll not hold fast to a shiny lie. I too know the beautiful complication. But from the struggle, I beseech you, fly. For that is the meaning of graduation. The cone has filtered you to this apex. The cone remains unsolved, it's true. But stand aloft, and when they ask, what's next? Tell them you're admiring the view.
Please welcome to the stage your ceremony host, Piers Gibbon.
Thank you. And I am honored to be here today with all of our wonderful graduates and all of their wonderful friends, family, and supporters. Welcome, one and all. Graduating from the University of Warwick is an extraordinary achievement in the best of times, and after everything that you have been through in the last few years, and after everything that the whole world has been through in the last few years, it is truly wonderful to see you all here in person in this room. And may I say it, University of Warwick, do they not scrub up nicely when they put the effort in? Congratulations on your graduates. They look lovely. And everyone is welcome. Let's have a wonderful day. Just a few tiny housekeeping points to help the day go smoothly. Obviously, we want you to take all of the photos and all of the videos, so keep your phone on at all times if you wish. If you could just leave it on silent mode, that would be nice for everyone. So leave your phones on silent, leave your children on loud, and leave everyone on loud, because this is a formal ceremony, but we are celebrating something wonderful, and that means celebrating loudly, with applause, with dancing in the aisles if you wish, honking like a University of Warwick goose, doing whatever you like. There is nothing illegal. Maybe just rephrase that. Anything that you're doing from a spirit of joy and celebration on this wonderful day is warmly welcomed. So I'd just like to test your whooping, honking, and celebration levels, if I may. In the words of that poem we've just heard, are you ready to cut the apron strings of your mother? Are you ready for graduation? Are you ready to fly? Pretty good. That's early morning drinking if ever I heard it. Well done. So, if we have any kind of emergency, the staff members you've seen with the black robes on, swooping around, looking efficient with clipboards, they will also help us all exit calmly and safely out of the doors to your right. All of those doors are both emergency doors and normal exit doors. So at the end of the day, that is the general direction of travel as well. Out the doors, turn left, and head up towards the festival village, which I'll tell you all about later. So because it's still a pandemic, we have some new rules for this particular ceremony. We are having a no handshaking ceremony. So you will come up and you will meet your Vice-Chancellor, but if you could resist the temptation to high-five, handshake, or indeed kiss him on both cheeks, we would be grateful. We need him, and we like him. It would be great if he could stay alive for the entire run of graduations. So let me just explain how exactly the process runs. I know, as a graduate myself, when coming up that ramp, it's all very complex. Basically, I have the honor of reading out their degree subjects, and then I will read out their names, and then they will be released to come up the ramp. They walk, stride, with pride, across towards the Vice-Chancellor here. And, no handshaking, he will hand you your scroll representing your degree, and you take it in your right hand. And at that moment, you are connected in a sacred way to your Vice-Chancellor and your university. And so we ask you to, well, maybe give the Vice-Chancellor a brief academic nod, but then turn all of your attention onto the photographer at the bottom of the ramp. I think you'll all agree that Al here is the most important person in the room right now, because we need those photos for posterity. So follow his instructions. He has a degree in Are You Ready for Your Close-Up? And he may ask you to readjust or take another shot. No problem, just follow his instructions. Now this has an interesting loop-back effect on the next graduate in line, because it's human nature. You don't want to ruin someone else's moment. So as you're coming up the ramp, if you see there's a little delay there, the obvious instinct would be to politely hang back and, oh, no, after you. No, not today. Today you stride at the pace you find safe, whatever you need, in towards the light. Head towards the light. And if there isn't a space yet next to you, next to the Vice-Chancellor, no problem. Your job then, graduates, is to turn to the adoring crowds and wave regally at them. You cannot make a mistake. You just get yourselves up here at the pace you need, and if there is a gap, revel in it. So, my job is reading out the names, and at that moment there'll be the briefest of checks at the bottom of the ramp to see that that is indeed your name. It's a live ceremony, so things can go wrong. And at that point, you're in charge. Stride on up with pride towards your Vice-Chancellor. Do not come towards me. Resist the temptation to come towards me. I have nothing to offer you, except a smile and my warm congratulations for an extraordinary achievement. So let's get started on this momentous journey towards graduation from the University of Warwick. Can I ask you all to please stand up for the anthem of the University of Warwick? And then, after 2 verses of that, it will be time for the entrance of the formal academic procession led by the ceremonial mace-bearer. Thank you.
Oh
and guests, I have the honor to introduce you to our presiding officer for this ceremony. So please let's practice that whooping and applauding to welcome the Vice-Chancellor and President of the University of Warwick, Professor Stuart Croft.
Thank you. Thank you all. Please do sit down. And welcome. Welcome to you all. Welcome to this celebration of our wonderful graduates. And I'm really delighted to be able to welcome you to these celebrations. And I'm delighted also that in this magnificent structure, we will have 25,000 people coming over the course of last week and next week, our graduates of the classes of 2020 and 2021, to celebrate all the wonderful achievements that you have made. We are also this summer restarting graduation ceremonies at the end of someone's course. The class of 2022 will be in the 2 weeks after that. That is another 15,000 people, 40,000 people celebrating on our campus this summer. After the last 2 years, what a wonderful joy that really is. But now, for today, at this moment, I want to focus on our graduates here on this side of the hall. And I want to thank you, and I want to thank you 3 times over. Firstly, I want to thank you for choosing Warwick as your university. You are now part of a community of 250,000 alumni. You are all brilliant people. You had many choices of university, and you chose to come to us. Thank you. I hope you gain the opportunity not only to further your education, but to try new things and meet new people despite the huge difficulties that we have all faced in the pandemic. You will know that none of us would have wanted your time at this university to be dominated by a pandemic. And the restrictions imposed by government were onerous and hugely challenging. But you showed the most remarkable resilience as individuals, in your friendship groups, in teams, as a student community. And so secondly, I want to thank you for everything that you did during the pandemic. And there have been so many extraordinary examples of students contributing to making our community as safe as it could be. From our medical school students volunteering to work in local hospitals, at the height of the pandemic, more than 500 helping to support, to the significant numbers of our students who worked as part of several national clinical trials and were supporting the testing and vaccination activity led by local NHS partners. From that to the group of our students supporting disabled and able-bodied people in Kenilworth, Coventry, Leamington and Warwick to enjoy social activities together on Zoom in the depths of the lockdowns. To our night shelter volunteers supporting homeless and vulnerably housed people, providing hot meals, a safe place to sleep and company. To our group of volunteers working together to care for, protect and promote the green spaces of Canley, including planting spring bulbs, creating meadows, path clearances, hedge laying and the planting of trees. And with many, many, many other examples. And on top of this, you were supporting family and friends, offering words of comfort, putting into practice all that it is to be part of a community. Whatever you did to help others during the pandemic, thank you. You got through it, you helped get others through it, and you gained your degree, all of which really is quite remarkable. And our staff community stepped up in a similar way. At the beginning, we distributed our surplus food to local food hubs and offered fridge and freezer space to the Coventry Emergency Food Network. We helped get the Canley Food Hub up and running through staff volunteering, transport and finance. We donated PPE to the NHS. We manufactured hand sanitizer. We manufactured 3D printed face shields. We made our laboratories available to support COVID-19 clinical work. We set up a lateral flow testing site on campus and gave advice to schools and businesses, loaning kit when there were shortages for community testing. We also put in place our own NHS test and trace facility. And the business partners that we had that struggled so much during the lockdown phases, we supported them too, with advice, insight, knowledge, expertise, sharing of networks, helping some of them to pivot their products. And our researchers helps us to understand and respond to COVID-19 from conducting those clinical trials, to advising governments, to public engagement. We continue to conduct pioneering research and offer expert insight into how the pandemic affected and still affects lives. For all of this work, our university was named by the Times as runner-up as University of the Year. And for our education, flipping online where required, face-to-face where possible, the Times named us as University of the Year for Teaching Quality. And these two awards together are a collective achievement of both students and staff working together. These are your achievements. Now, earlier I said I wanted to thank you 3 times over. And so, finally, I want to thank every person here today for finding the time to come back to your university, to mark the enormous achievement of securing your degree, to celebrate. Through such difficult years where joy has been so limited, it is really important to make time to celebrate achievements, successes. I'm delighted that we've been able to put together this day of celebration for you, our most unique cohorts of graduates, the first in our history to be unable to graduate at the end of your course. Thank you for taking the time to celebrate, to reconnect with friends, to be at your university. You will already have found that members of the Warwick alumni community are everywhere. In fact, in far more than 100 countries. And everywhere, there are Warwick graduates looking to help other Warwick graduates. As students, you've been amazing. The really good news is our alumni are also amazing. And now, to the ceremony today. As we have heard, there is one simple rule: to celebrate. With noise and with cheers. Let your family, let your friends know how amazing they really are. And so, I declare this ceremony open!
Thank you very much, Professor Croft. That reminds me, actually, one of my favorite things in this ceremony is to watch the faces of the graduates light up when they hear their name and then they hear the applause coming from the audience. And because the world is a tough place at the moment and travel is a tough thing to do, perhaps quite a few of these graduates don't have family, friends and supporters in the room. So we have a cunning plan. Please will you join us in, of course, celebrating your graduates with whooping and cheering and whatever you're shouting at them, but also, can you, everyone in the room, please select 5 or 6 random graduates to go completely crazy for. It will surprise them. You will see their faces light up. I see their faces light up. And everyone can join in. Swift feedback loop. You can see their faces on the big screens behind. So go bananas for someone you've never heard of because you like the sound of their name, or you like the way they walk, or you just think maybe they don't have any supporters in the room. It'll be worth it, and it'll surprise the person sitting next to you enormously. So have a great time. Keep the applause going. Relax when you need to, and then go bananas for someone random. It's great to see. So we have enough perfectly calm graduates there who are about to stride at their own pace onto this ramp. If your hat falls off, it really doesn't matter. The sight of your naked knee through the dress for the first time this morning as you go up the ramp does not mean that everything's going to fall off. It's going to be okay. And anyway, we've checked the regulations from 1965. You will still be legally graduated from the University of Warwick even if you are naked. Let us not check that. Vice-Chancellor, I hereby present to you these graduates in recognition of their degrees. To the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Classics and Ancient History, Euphemia Stavropoulou. To the degree of Bachelor of Arts with Honours in English and Cultural Studies, Johanna Louise Cook. Sophie Eileen Leonora O'Kelly. In English literature, Carl Grewa Martin. In European studies, Agnieszka Ewa Chmara. In history, Dulcie Jane Mowat. To the degree of Doctor of Education, Areye Makemi Kiepene. Claire Margaret Astrid Maxime. To the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Applied Linguistics, Norazin Binti Zamri. In Education, Anna Elizabeth Lockley Scott. Jane Elizabeth Bradford. Nazmeen Sudruddin Halani.